Alright guys, welcome to Unit 3, Cycle 1, Level 2 Triangle. We are going to learn how to write linear equations given a table. So, basically there are two different ways we can do this. To find the equation of a line from a table, we have two different strategies. Both work. You should have maybe already learned this in another video. But as a reminder, our equation at the end needs to look like this: y equals mx plus b. So that is our end goal. In both strategies, we need to find two things. First, we need to find a point on the line with an x and a y value, and we need to find the slope. In both strategies, that's what we need to do. Okay, so let's try it out. On the first strategy, so let's do these two with the first strategy. First strategy is you're going to put the values initially in y equals mx plus b. So first of all, we need to find a point. So let's identify a point. How about we use the very first one, -6, 12. So this would be my point. -6 would be my y value. And then 12 would be my y value. So we have -6, 12. Alright, now we need to find our slope. And as a reminder, to find our slope, we first find our change in y, which 12 to 14, those numbers are getting bigger, by 2. So we have a change in y of +2. Then we have a change in x, -6 to -5, those numbers are also getting bigger, so we have a change in x of +1. So our slope, which is a change in y over our change in x, would give us 2 over 1, or just 2. So we now have a point. Check. Now we have our slope. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to plug all those numbers in. This is my x value, this is my y value, and this is my m. I'm going to plug all those values into here. So first of all, my y, let me rewrite this equation, y equals mx plus b. My y is 12. So I'm going to put 12 right here. 12 equals, my slope is 2. And then my x, I'm going to plug in -6. That's my x value. And then I don't know my b, so I'm going to do plus b. So now what I have is I have an equation with one variable. So when I have that, I need to solve for what I don't know. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to first simplify. So I'm going to go 12, stays the same, equals, and then 2 times -6 is -12 plus b still. And now I need to get b by itself, so I'm going to add 12 on both sides. So I'm going to get 24 equals b. So now I have b. So to write my equation, I need to know my m, and I need to know my b. The other two will stay the same. So my final answer, I'm going to use 24 specifically, and I'm going to use 2. So my final answer will be y equals 2x plus 24. That is the equation of my line for that table. Okay, so let's try that using another example. Same strategy, different example. Okay, again, I need to find a point and a slope. So let's use this point, this first point, right here. I'm going to use this point, just like I used -6, 12. So my point is going to be 1, 11. So it's going to be 1, comma, 11. Okay, so that is my point. Now to find my slope, remember I need to do change in x over change in y. So my slope, I'm going to find the change in y over change in x, excuse me. My change in y, 11 to 15. 15 minus 11 is 4. So my change in y is plus 4. Okay, 1 to 2. Those numbers are getting bigger by 1 each time, all the way down. So I have plus 1. Okay, so my slope would be my change in y over my change in x, right? That triangle is another way of saying delta, like change. So that's the change in y, change in x, as a way to abbreviate that. My change in y is 4, my change in x is 1, so my slope is 4. So now I have my point and I have my slope. So now I'm ready to roll and I'm ready to plug these in to y equals mx plus b. So I would plug in my y, which is 11. Then I would say equals, and my slope is 4. And then I would plug in my x value, which is 1. Then I would continue to write plus b, because I don't know b yet. Okay, then what I would do is I'm going to solve for b. As a reminder, I'm going to write here, solve for b. Solve for b. The way I solve for b is I first simplify this, so I'm going to continue to write 11 stays the same, and then 4 times 1 is 4, plus b. Now I need to get b by itself, so I need to move 4 over here, and the way I move 4 to the left side is I do minus 4, minus 4, so 11 minus 4 is 7, equals b. So now I've just discovered that 7 is my b value. And as I did up here, once I know my b value, my y-intercept, and once I know my m value, my slope, I'm good to go. I can just plug them in. So I would do y equals, my slope is 4x plus 7. So that is the equation of that line from that table. Okay, so that is one strategy. It works well. Let's try another strategy. Another strategy involves using the point-slope form of a line. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Some of you may have already seen that in another video. Y equals mx plus b is what is called the slope-intercept form. This one is what is called the point-slope form. Okay. So when using the point-slope form, I still need to find a point and a slope, which makes sense, right? So my point, let's pick this first one. Negative 14, 3. So my point is going to be, just like before, negative 14 is my x value, comma, 3 for my y value. Okay? So now that I have my point, now I need to still find my slope. So the slope would be the change in y, which in this case, 3 to 6, those numbers are getting bigger by 3. So my change in y is plus 3. Negative 14 to negative 12, those numbers are also getting bigger, plus 2. Okay? So my slope then would be change in y over change in x. Change in y is 3. Change in x is 2. So my slope is 3 over 2, or 3 halves. Okay, so now I have my point, and I have my slope. So instead of plugging it into this equation, now I'm going to plug it into this unique equation. x1 and y1 is just another way of saying this is my point. So this would be my x1, this would be my y1, this was still my m. We're going to plug these in. So I would stay, so this is my equation, to rewrite it. Y stays the same, so I just continue to write y. But now minus y1, my y1 is 3. So I would write it as minus, and my y1 is 3. Then I would continue to write equals. My m, my slope, is 3 over 2. So I would write 3 over 2. Then I would write x minus my x1 is negative 14. Okay, so I plugged in my x1 and my y1 and my m, my slope. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this to make it look like y equals mx plus b. And we're going to see how we're going to do that. So first of all, we need to clean some things up. So we need to continue to write y minus 3 equals 3 halves. But then inside these parentheses, this is really going to become x plus 14, because when you have two negatives next to each other, it becomes a positive. So this would be 3 halves x plus 14. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to distribute. At this point, you're going to distribute, which means taking the 3 halves and multiplying it by x and multiplying it by 14. Okay, so let's try that. We would state this on the left side, y minus 3. 3 halves times x would be 3 halves x. Okay, and then 3 halves times 14. You can actually put that in your calculator. And then when you put that in your calculator, you would get 3 halves, right? 3 over 2. And I'm going to multiply that by 14. So I would do 3 over 2 times 14. When I do 3 over 2 times 14, I get 21. So I would write plus 21. Because I distributed this one and I distributed this one. Okay, so now my last step is get y by itself. You need to move 3 over because that's what's stopping y from being by itself. So I would have y. Better way of writing this would be plus 3. So I would continue to have y. These would go away. Equals. And then I'd have plus 3 on this side. Right? So I'd have y equals 3 halves x plus 24. Now, my answer, my equation, looks like this right here. So I'm good to go. So I have my slope and I have my y-intercept. So my final answer is y equals 3 over 2x plus 24. Okay? So some of you guys might already be thinking, oh my goodness, Mr. Colston, I really like option 1 better. Or some of you are like, man, I really like option 2 better. Either one works. So it's okay to feel like you like one or the other. But let's try one more example with this way to see which one you like better. Okay, so let's try another example with strategy 2. Same process. I'm going to find my point. I'm going to find my slope. Right? Those are my two things I'm going to find. My point, let's pick this first one, negative 5, 2. So my point would be negative 5 as my x value, comma, 2 is my y value. Okay. So now I find my slope. Found my point, found my slope. So my change in y, 2 to 4, those numbers are getting bigger by 2. Negative 5 to negative 2, those numbers are also getting bigger, but by 3. Okay, and if you need to ever put those in your calculator, that's okay. Whatever it takes for you to figure out what the change is. So, my slope would be my change in y over my change in x, just like always. My change in y is 2, my change in x is 3. So that is now my slope, 2 over 3. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to plug it into this point slope form. Okay, I'm going to plug in my y1, my x1, and my n. Remember, this is my x1, this is my y1, and this is my n. Okay, y stays the same, so I'm going to go y minus, and then my y1 is 2, going to plug in 2, equals, my slope is 2 over 3, x stays the same, x minus, this would be negative 5. Okay, again, as we did up here, when you have two negatives, this is going to become a positive. So this would be x plus 5. Right? And at this point, we need to distribute. So what is on the left stays the same, y minus 2 equals, then I'm going to distribute this 2/3 to x and to 5. Which means I'm going to multiply 2/3 times x, which is simply 2/3 x. And then I'm going to do 2/3 times 5. And I can put that in my calculator. 2 over 3 times 5 would give me 10 over 3. So I would have 10 over 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get y by itself. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Y equals 2/3 x. And then 10 over 3 plus 2, I can also put that in the calculator. That would give me 16 over 3. So, just like before, I have my m, I have my b. This is all right. This is a slope-intercept form. It's good to go. This is my final answer. Okay, so you have two strategies to finding the linear equation given a table. Okay, one uses the slope-intercept form primarily, and one uses the point-slope form. In both cases, you need to find the point and the slope. So give the demonstrate a go. You would turn it over, and there's, I believe, 4 problems on the back for you to work on. If you have any questions, ask a neighbor or ask a teacher. Good luck. You guys got this.